video is sponsored by Squarespace. We got our tulip bulbs in. This is like my favorite day of the year when all the tulips show up. And I'm a little disappointed because this is a very small palette. Last year was like this high. So I was obviously very restrained in my shopping. We have all of our bulbs down, unloaded into our outbuilding. We probably aren't gonna get these planted next week. You know, might even be 2 weeks from now before we get these actually into the ground. So we have them out of the rain, and we need to be a little bit considerate of how we store it. It's actually not too bad temperature-wise in here, which is great for me, but it's not great for the bulbs. You know, this is one of the daffodils that I was looking at, and you can see it's already started to grow. So I'm gonna share all the details of all the bulbs we have, and then we're gonna pop these into the cooler, keep them nice and cold so they don't start growing in the crates till I can get them in the ground. We have 9,000 tulips, which is very exciting for me. Makes me very happy. But I'm teasing you because what we're gonna start with is I have 3,000 daffodils, and we're gonna go through these first. So last year I bought, I don't know, 3,000 daffodils, I think. The plan was to never grow daffodils here on the farm because they bloom so early that we can't have anything else, and it's kind of tricky to sell just daffodil bunches. It's better for us to start the season strong, tulips, boom, here we go. But we figured out if we plant some of our tulips inside of our high tunnels, they will bloom a couple weeks earlier than our outdoor tulips, which means that they'll bloom in time with our field grown daffodils. So we were like, that's it, let's do it. 3,000 daffodils. Daffodils are perennial here. You plant them once and they come back year after year. So daffodils are actually a little bit pricey for us. Daffodils, you know, the bulbs can be up to 80 cents, where we max out on tulips. We don't like to spend more than 50 cents on a tulip bulb. But when you consider that you get to pick off of it year after year, and also voles don't eat these, they start to make a lot of sense on the farm. So we planted our 3,000, spring came, nothing bloomed. I was very, very nervous. I was like, oh no, what if I planted my bulbs too deep? It was very cold when we planted our daffodils. I was like, what if they froze and I actually rotted 3,000? You know, that's like $3,000 worth of daffodils. But slowly they started to pop up and they bloomed, and we had a problem. We didn't really sell very many daffodils last year. And the issue was a lot of them only had these super short stems. Part of it is that they need more time to get established into the ground. You know, this coming spring, those second year daffodils, they're gonna grow a lot taller. They're gonna be a lot happier. But the other issue is what I bought was mixes, and I did that because I wanted to just quickly and easily get a whole variety of stuff that would bloom across a long season. But in the mixes were some shorter daffodils as well as some taller daffodils. So as the season went on, I realized, you know, I really should be investing in some of these taller varieties. I need long stems if I'm gonna be selling them as cut flowers. So that is why we bought 3,000 again. But I'm also a sucker for a deal. So the first thing that I'm gonna share with you is I got 2 crates, 600 bulbs of fragrant mix, which is what we had purchased last year. And we also have 600, where are they? These 2 crates, 600 of the spring mix. So the fragrant mix is the varieties that have scent to them. So they're all the colors, orange, yellow, whites. It's a great mix, but all of them have some pretty scent. Some of them are tall, some of them are a little bit shorter. But there's enough in here that I can have some that are pretty for me to look at and lots to harvest. Our daffodil section is along our fence line of 150 feet. I have 2 rows along there, and I want it to be a little bit wider. So we are gonna do a very fussy job. We are gonna hand plant one at a time, these 1200 mix into our already established mix. It is gonna take a whole day, and Ian is gonna be very mad at me that he let me buy 3,000 daffodils, but it's gonna be great. We're gonna really fill in that area. It's gonna be really exciting for years to come.
I actually would be bummed if I had to plant 3,000 daffodils by hand last year. But one thing that I noticed this spring is that the bouquets that had tulips with daffodils mixed in actually sold really well. And they were some of the first to sell from, wherever we were selling them. So now I'm like, ooh, daffodils, really, like, they can kind of beef up the tulip bouquets and they sell well. So I'm team daffodil now. I'm on board with them. How much do the daffodils cost a bulb? Like, is the mix cheap?
The mix is cheaper. And some of these are nice big bulbs, but different varieties are smaller, right? So it's like, I'm sure that this variety is a lot less money than whatever this variety is, and also this could be like a small style daffodil, and this could be a big, huge double. If I remember correctly, the mix is about 50 cents a bulb. Even though we got 3,000 daffodils versus the 9,000 tulips, I think that the price difference is pretty comparable, right? Because these are, like I said, the cheapest that I got is kind of 50 cents, which is our most expensive tulips. And then these specialty ones, some of these were expensive. I mean, that's like gorgeous. That's a gorgeous bulb, right? Like, it's got 3 side bulbs already growing off of this big, huge one. Yeah, I think some of these were like up to $1. And one thing for context, when I say these numbers, these aren't our final numbers. These are just numbers that I'm quoting based on my purchasing. When we include taxes and shipping costs, a 50-cent bulb actually costs us 67 cents at the end of the day. So there's kind of like a 17-cent like shipping and tax fee on top of most of these bulbs, right? So when I say that, like, oh, if this was 90 cents, it would actually be over $1. But you buy it once and then it comes back year after year. And they don't get eaten by voles, right? The reason why we planted these along the fence line partially is to create like an underground fortress to prevent voles from entering our property from the neighbor's orchard.
I think we're just going to be locking the voles in. And I also think voles can travel over top.
Yeah. I mean, obviously not, but we didn't have any, the voles didn't eat these at all. And if they do eat them, they're poisonous, so maybe then they would die. And then that would make me happy, even though I'd lose some of my daffodils. Anyways, okay, let's get into these really exciting varieties. Okay, so this big, beautiful bulb, oh my God, look at these. These are gorgeous. Very excited about this. This is a white variety that, it's called Ice Follies, and they're a big 4-inch flower face. They don't necessarily get that big for me, but they're a nice big showy white daffodil. They have like a creamy center, but they're very white as daffodils go. And this was a variety that ended up being one of our tallest in the mix. This is the type of daffodil that I can imagine we might be able to sell wholesale to florists for doing some more formal work. And the other thing that I think I remember is most of these varieties that I ordered by name are later blooming varieties, right? So I was making sure all of them are very tall and were tall for me before in the mixes, but also they bloom a little bit later in the season. I don't want the earliest blooming daffodils because I want my daffodils to be blooming with my inside tulips, to kind of get, boom, strong start. So this I'm super excited about. We got 300. Everything that we bought this year, we bought in full crate sizes. So the daffodils, because in general they're a bigger bulb, 300 is kind of like the full crate. We're hoping to get shipped crates. That's part of the reason why we ordered full crate sizes. So all of these, I ordered in these 300 numbers. Okay, let's see. What one goes really nicely? Okay. To pair really nicely with our ice follies, we have Bridal Crown. And this one, like obviously a name like Bridal Crown, this one also has potential. You know, like look at these. These are, I like these nice bulbs. So Bridal Crown is a lighter color daffodil. Again, creamy centers, nice soft coloring. But the thing that makes these so exciting, which I didn't even realize, I mean, I don't grow daffodils ever before. So I was pleasantly surprised when these popped up in my mix. These have multiple small blooms per stem. So these were really interesting, right? They're just these like little tiny cups, but there's like clusters of 3, 4, 5 per stem. These mixed really nicely along with like the bigger daffodils or the tulips. You know, the tulips are so big and then these big daffodils are so big. It's nice to get kind of a filler flower look. So I'm really excited about these in the lighter color, but multi-flowering. And then we got another multi-flowering variety, but in a different color palette. So these are Falconette. Yeah, nice healthy bulbs on these. We got 300 of these, and these are like a bright yellow with an orange cup, and the small multi-flowering again. And I think if I remember correctly, these were one of the latest blooming varieties in the mix that we had in the farm. These came up really late. It was kind of like all the other daffodils were finished, and then these were blooming away, and because they're those bright punchy colors, which are my favorite colors to grow, they paired really nicely with our bright punchy tulips. So I had a lot of fun with these. They were great for Mother's Day. Okay, let's see. What else do we got? Then we had to get all the fancy colors. So down here we have Pink Charm. And Pink Charm is a super large faced, nice big white with a pink cup. Just really classic. I really love the look of just the classic daffodil. Just the big open face, the nice cup. But I've been suckered into the butterfly looking varieties, which is like when the cup in the center is split open and all fluttery. We've bought year after year, just like for our home garden, because it's so beautiful, Cum Laude, which like we love. It's beautiful. We have it planted everywhere now, and we've probably spent like hundreds of dollars on them because we keep buying like 75 packs of them every year that we've been buying stuff from Van Noort. When it came to actually using them in the bouquets, I found that I was looking for something that was like a little bit more clean, a little bit more simple, but still in that same coloring. And so I'm really excited for this Pink Charm. I'm sure that some people might find this variety boring, but I think it's gonna be really versatile. So, and tall.
Can you imagine how much color we're gonna have on the farm in the spring?
Oh, I know, it's gonna look so good.
We've been like planting bulbs for years and years on like very large quantities. And this past season, like this past spring, it was looking really good.
I mean, every year we plant like a couple hundred just for us. And in this order, there is like some things that we did buy for the home garden that we'll go through at the very end. You know, I love the spring bulbs. They make me so happy. Okay, so pink daffodils, you can't go wrong. The problem with the classic yellow daffodil is we live really close to a city that grows bulbs almost as good as Holland. And then because the daffodils are perennial, you know, people have these massive daffodil farms that just produce an insane amount of stems for a really good price. When you drive down to Vancouver, like in the ditches in the spring, it's just filled with classic daffodils because they're basically like weeds. At some point, someone chucked some daffodils out of their window into the ditch and they've just grown there for the last 100 years, getting bigger and bigger. So the classic yellow daffodil, it's hard to sell it and have people be excited about it because you can buy bunches of like big bunches for $5 in every single grocery store for the entire season. But when we grow these pinks, people don't even know what they are. People are so excited about them. And then like when they have scent in addition to it, you know, it's hard to go wrong. So the final variety that we got here, and I'm gonna butcher the name, so go by whatever is on the screen. It's a Delnaha, I don't know. Delnasla, I don't know. Sounds like it should be Scottish. Like I should be like rolling some of the sounds. I don't know. But it is probably one of the fanciest. You know, this makes me laugh too now that I'm looking at these bulbs. In general, the more expensive and the fancier the bulb, the smaller they end up being, just because they're more highly sought after. But these are still nice, healthy bulbs. So this is a big, huge flower, white, and then pink cup, except for it's a double. So the cup is all frilly and full. They look really, really beautiful. It's pretty exciting. You know, I'm like imagining the like white and pink daffodil bunches that we can do with having, you know, the whole mix of these that we're gonna have, in addition to all the colors that we have that are coming up in the fragrant mix and the spring mix. You know, 6,000 daffodils on the farm. Things are gonna be good. Things are gonna be good next year, and things are gonna be even better 5 years from now. Let's get to the tulips. So what I'm gonna start with is the tulip that we buy specifically to pair with the daffodils. This is Exotic Emperor, and I love them. This is probably one of my favorite. I mean, I'm gonna say this over and over again. This is my favorite variety, but I only got like 15 varieties or something, so I can't even say, oh, top 10. That isn't saying much, but these are pretty incredible tulips. So Exotic Emperor blooms like a week or two before any other tulip that we grow here on the farm. And they have like a scent, like they smell amazing. And they are, I don't know, they're a double, but they're not even like a double. They're, you know, the parrot tulip is like a parrot tulip. These are just, I don't know. There's probably a name for what they are.
They have a unique shape.
Yeah, but
and their coloring.
Yeah, they don't look like anything else that we grow. They're like white that also kind of has some creamy tones, and it has some green tones. They're very, very formal looking, and as they open up and die, they look almost even better, right? They start out as like a cup, but when they open up, they're like petals kind of like fold out away from each other. It's really beautiful. We bought 1,000 of these so that these can pair with the daffodils blooming. These out in the field, they bloom at perfect time to go with them. And then the coloring on them, because they're these lighter colors, they go really nicely with the bright yellow if we want to get something that's vibrant, but they also go really nicely with those white and pinks. So we bought 1,000 of these. You know, I love them. They're great, you know, and it's really going to help us be able to sell those daffodils, you know.
These were the most expensive tulips, though, weren't they?
No, the price is not bad on these.
I thought you said they were the most expensive.
No, I'm pretty sure that the next one we'll talk about is the most expensive.
This one's definitely in my top 10.
Yeah. I bought more of them than I thought I did. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is in the 1,000 bulb club. We ended up buying 4 varieties in quantities of 1,000 because it is so good that we want to grow it twice. And honestly, this is no questions. This is the number one. This is actually my favorite. This is the best tulip in the entire world. This is Double Gudishnik. And these, the color, the size, the shape, the stem length, you know, like the bulk of it, like you cannot beat these. They come in like a whole variety of colors. They can be like red, or they can be this like creamy color, like white greenish tones to it. Buttery oranges, like almost like butterscotch tones. Some soft yellows. These are just incredible. And then it's the thing that makes this just hands down number one is the size of the bloom, right? Like the buds that come up on these, they're like the size of a hand. And when they open up, like I'm not even exaggerating, they are so big and they have so many petals inside of them. You know, when they call doubles peony style tulips, usually it's like, you know, okay, maybe if you're growing some pretty pathetic peonies, right? We all know how big and decadent a peony is, but like these are the size of a peony bloom, but in just this like tropical wonderland color tone. They're the best. Everyone needs this. They're number one. All right, and then the other two that we buy in the thousands, which we buy partially because this is our recipe, right? We do like the Double Gudishnik, and then we do Sun Lover. So Sun Lover is, yet again, it's a variety that blooms almost like a mix, right? And so if you were wanting to just buy one variety for your landscaping, but make it look like you bought a whole variety of different colors that coordinate together, Sun Lover and the Gudishnik are great for that. So the Sun Lover, they come in tones of like reds and oranges and yellows, and they're stripy and they're streaked, and they're yet again like those big double. The flower heads, I mean, nothing is like the Gudishnik, but the Sun Lover is still like a nice good size, good strong stem length. They're a little bit shorter than the Gudishnik, but they look great together in landscaping. And they look incredible together in a bouquet. They're so tropical and so fun. And then the final 1,000 bulb club that we pair with them is the yellow pomponette. And the yellow pomponette is just like a bright yellow double. They're like sunshine in a bulb. They can be like a just super clean yellow. Sometimes they get like a little bit of like warmer tones to them, but they are a lot more consistently just one color. So these bulbs aren't the biggest bulbs. It's too heavy. You know, the Gudishnik is massive. The Sun Lover, they'll look, I mean, those are big too. Sun Lover will be like kind of similar to this, right? So the bulb is a little bit smaller. What the bud that comes out is a little bit smaller too, but they just keep putting on size and bulk, and they end up being like really large and really gorgeous by the time they bloom and start opening up. And they just open and open and open, and then once they start to like really open in the center, they have like little black, I don't know what they're like, stamens or something inside. So when they're finishing off, you know, like I love that little detail of the last little bits of texture as they're finishing.
And how much are they a bulb?
They are probably one of our cheapest bulbs.
Which is great because they are so big in the bouquets. Yeah. They create a lot of value.
Yeah, totally. So one of our best-selling tulip recipes is the yellow pomponette, the Sun Lover, and the Gudishnik mixed together. I think we do like 3, and then 2 with the Gudishnik. Even though yellow pomponette is one of our cheapest bulbs, because Gudishnik is our most expensive bulb, the bulb cost on that recipe ends up being the same as any of our other recipes. You know, they're bulbs, they cost money. If you're a flower farmer and you're like, I want 9,000 bulbs, these are not early days on the farm type purchases. This entire order ended up being $7,500. And you know, this is a risk. We're gonna put these into the ground. But if we did it wrong, voles could come and eat every single one of those bulbs, which would be a very expensive way to start the season. So we love the tulips, and we buy lots and we grow lots and we sell lots, but they are not necessarily the safest way to kickstart a profitable flower farm.
Every bouquet has, you know, a couple bucks of bulb cost in it directly.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's not even including labor.
Yeah.
So
or the cost of like materials to grow these.
So it's fine if you sell everything. It doesn't matter then. But if bouquets aren't selling, the tulip bouquets aren't selling for some reason, because you have, you know, thousands and thousands of them to sell, then even if 10% don't sell, that really affects profitability.
Yeah, totally. You know, I mean, if we break down the order, there's probably $6,000 when you like factor in the taxes and the shipping in here. Then to plant these for wood, to build a raised bed, hardware cloth, compost, you know, that's gonna be another $1,000. And then, you know, there's only 9,000 bulbs here. Best case scenario, what this would sell for is, you know, $18,000. There's a lot of labor in planting, in harvesting, in selling. It's nice to start the season with, you know, potentially $18,000 coming in the first month. But, you know, if they don't sell, if, you know, they don't bloom properly, if pests get into it and eat them all.
There's a lot of things that can
go wrong. And so we can make money on tulips when we do it right. But
you have to be careful.
But we're not, there's no plan to turn the farm into a tulip farm in the future. We could not be a profitable tulip farm.
I think we've also pivoted in our tulip purchasing. You know, before we were leaning into mostly doubles. Now it's essentially all doubles.
Yeah, we didn't buy a single tulip that isn't a double. And
also bulb cost is playing more of a factor. We're like trying to find the affordable bulbs that sell. You know, it has to be stuff that people actually buy. Mm-hmm. But we've got enough, you know, customer feedback to know what ones they are now.
Yeah.
And so our order this year is less bulbs than last year and less cost.
Yeah, less cost per bulb.
And also we have a few freebies from last year still out in the field.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call them freebies. We have a few things that died.
They were accounted for last year in last year's costs. And we left the raised beds together that had all of our tulips from last year that we didn't get to because there's
a lot that's going to be hopefully blooming next year that can supplement what we have here. But that's a great point to continue on, right? So we said yellow pomponette was our most affordable bulb, while at the same time being one of our most desirable looking bulbs, which is a great transition to Secret Perfume, which is like on par cost-wise with the Gudishnik. This is yet again exactly this is the most expensive bulb because it's the same price as Gudishnik. And these are the worst looking bulbs in the order, right? So like here's a good example, right? Like this, and this happens, I order this the last couple of years and this happens every year. There's lots of like bulbs, like this is garbage, I can't plant this. Here, get a close up on this. You want to look for stuff like this in your bulbs because if you see, it's like, it's dead. It's diseased, it's garbage. You don't want to be putting that in, potentially leading to rot. You know, like if you just like even compare these crates, right? Like this is 500 bulbs, like filled to the top, like big, beautiful bulbs. And then this like shallow tray is 500 bulbs, you know, and like compare these, right? These are not created equal.
A lot of times the cheaper bulbs are cheaper because the plants grow so much easier, right?
So this variety, this is Secret Perfume. We bought 500 of these, and this is like a hugely desirable variety. These are like soft, creamy colors with like some pink streaks, and this is like totally a bridal tulip. This is the type of thing that people would be like, oh, it's so gorgeous. I want to do like for my spring wedding. I want these in it. So if if your farm is doing wedding flowers, it doesn't matter how expensive these are because they're the focal in your wedding bouquet. You can charge $10 a bloom for it. But for us, because what we're doing is, these $20 roadside stand bouquets, this isn't as valuable for us. People will love the coloring on this, but when they look at it and it's a double, and the size of the bloom is like that, they're not gonna think, oh, well, that's the most expensive flower on the farm when they see the yellow pomponette right beside it, which is like 3 times larger, and our cheapest bulb, right? So, just because something is like gorgeous and desirable and expensive doesn't mean it's going to be the best thing for your specific customers, right? So because our customer is looking for something like bright and fun and beautiful and a way to celebrate the beginning of the season, the return of flowers, return of spring color, this isn't necessarily going to be the best seller, but it's still beautiful. And it's nice to have a variety of things. So we have it anyways. Okay, next up, I have no idea. Palmyra. There we go. Palmyra. 500 of this. And this is the first year that we've grown this, so I don't actually know what it looks like. Palmyra, new for us this year. This was important for us to find. This was a pricier variety, but it is like a purple, black, burgundy toned tulip. And our goal this year was only doubles. We didn't want to buy any singles, but it was really hard for us to give up Queen of Night. Queen of Night is super late blooming, dark black purple single, really great stem length, but because it's a single, the flower heads are smaller, they're not as showy, and the bulb price is pretty comparable with, a lot of these doubles anyways. So for our customer, it feels to them like they're getting half of the value of any of the other tulips when it's costing us exactly the same. So we still wanted that color because the Queen of Night, the drama that it brings, right? We'd do a Queen of Night with the yellow pomponette. It would be like, whoa, this is like the contrast of the purple and the yellow. We'd pair it a lot with whites, and it brought the drama. It was really fun. So I'm hoping that this variety will do the exact same thing for us, but in double form, so that our customers are still super excited about it too. So I'm really excited to see what the tone's gonna be like when it blooms for us. We have stark, strong sun here in the Okanagan. The sun that we get here, we have crazy high UV. We have no humidity, so there's nothing to block all the UV rays. So the colors that we get in our farm are often quite different than what we see in pictures. So it'll be interesting to see if this stays dark, even with the higher UV, or if it's gonna go more of a ready tone in our field. But exciting new variety. Okay, I love this one. I already did this to Ian, but we'll test him again. This is Freeman, and I have 500 of them, and I love it, Ian. So what color do you think it is?
Blurple.
Come on. We literally talked about this last week.
Green.
No, Ian.
Orange.
Orange. Come on, orange. We love orange. there was a couple varieties that we ordered that got canceled, and I was fine with it because they are like the secret perfume. The varieties that are expensive and always come and are like not very nice bulbs. So I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. So there was a bronze torch? Copper image, that's it. Good memory, Ian. Copper image is this beautiful bronzy orange tulip that we've grown in the past, and it's really pretty, and it would totally be great for weddings, so I can see why it's desirable and expensive. But I loved it because it was orange, and I love Freeman even more because it's orange with green stripes, which is like the ultimate Serina tulip. And it grows 1,000,000 times better. It's way healthier, and the flower heads are way bigger, and it's less money. So I really like this variety. I think that this might be the only orange that we have. There's some oranges like in the Sun Lover mix, but they're more of like red oranges, whereas this is like toned down a little bit, right? Like this, you could definitely make it be more of like an apricot orange, or yeah, a soft orange. I don't know. It's still orange. It's bright. Ugh. They're so heavy. So many. Gotta get my tulip muscles. Last year, we had way too many tulips. I can't remember. Like, what did we buy? Like 13 or 14,000 tulips? We had a crazy number. And even though we had all of those, I realized there wasn't enough pink. It was like every week I'd put together the bouquets, and I'd have like some pink bouquets, but it wouldn't be like, oh, a quarter of them were pink bouquets, and they were always the first to sell. Pink, you know, pink is a very desirable color for our customers, and you know, it's not the color that I buy. I buy orange, right? But as the years have gone on, I've realized I need to make pink a priority on the farm. So this year I was like, pink. I'm looking for pink.
Pink could be like 25% of the bouquets, I feel like.
Oh yeah, or more, right? Like we could have a third of them. We could have a third be the Sun Lover Gudishnik yellow pomponette, a third be a pink bouquet, and then the another third be like, oh, you know,
all the others.
So what I got here is I have 500 foxtrot, and this is a great tulip. I've grown this like for a couple of years now. It is like a pink and white. It's a good double. It's not exceptional. There's only a few that are like worth being like, whoa, these get so big. But it is like a true double. They have like great vase life. They look great. Foxtrot has a sister. Her name is Foxy Foxtrot, and Foxtrot is pink, and Foxy Foxtrot is like an apricot-y color. And Foxtrot is pink and vibrant and is not a wedding palette at all. And it is nice and affordable. And Foxy Foxtrot is too expensive because of its apricot-y tones, which makes it more desirable. And so none of that. We didn't buy any Foxy Foxtrot this year, even though we've grown it for the past few years, because we don't need it, right? We need pink. We don't need those like softer color palette tones, right? That's not what we sell. So I'm pretty excited. And I mean, like, these bulbs are super healthy. You know, like after looking at the, you know, those like fancy secret perfume, it's nice to see varieties like Foxtrot where it's just like every bulb in here looks beautiful, like nice firmness, big, large. You know, this is what I want. I want to find desirable colors, easy to grow bulbs that are at a good price, so that they're great for our customer and they're great for us here on the farm. Okay, next up, 500 Mount Tacoma. This is a great one. It's kind of like mid-range, maybe a little high price point wise, but this is a white. This is a double white. It's nice and it's clean, and I need stuff like this, right? So like I said, I have Exotic Emperor, which is like my white tone that blooms crazy early. One of the great things about, can't get mixed. One of the great things about the tulips is that You can harvest them and store them in the cooler for a couple weeks before you use them in the bouquets, right? So the exotic emperor probably blooms a month before Mount Tacoma. And so I can have these in the cooler, have white that I can blend with everything. And then when I start to run out of that, my Mount Tacomas come on. So I can keep consistently having some white. You know, white, it's so versatile, goes with everything. Mixes with my pinks, mixes with my brights. You know, I like it. I was tempted, I think originally I had 1,000 of these on the list. And then I was like, no, Serina, this is a slippery slope to buying 15,000 bulbs instead of 10,000 bulbs.
Much restraint.
So, I know. I mean, I was so good. So in this order, we had 1,500 bulbs that got canceled on us. So I did originally have more than 10,000. But when my sales rep was like, oh, Serina, these aren't going to be available. Here's the substitutes that I recommend.
And he knows you're a sucker.
Yeah, he does know I'm a sucker. I was like, no substitutes. So everyone should be proud of how restrained I am to only have 9,000 tulips here. And this is part of the pink collection. This is me getting all the pinks. We grew this last year and it was really nice. I really liked this one. This was one that stood out. It's like a darker, richer pink. And if I remember correctly, the shape of the flowers was kind of interesting. The petals were shorter. So the bloom looked smaller than some of the other varieties, but it was like a total pom-pom, right? Because with the petals being like not so short, when it opened up, it didn't like kind of like open. It stayed as this double puff. Yeah, and then because it was quite dark, you know, I could make it be more dramatic. You know, this would be like the one that I totally pair with Queen of Night. It's like a dark pink, whereas like Foxtrot is more of the medium pink tones. And then this, like, I don't remember it having very much like white striping in it, though sometimes in the pictures that I see it does have white streaks. But yeah, so I really like this. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited about the ways that I can blend this. All right, let's see. This is Gudishnik. We've already done this one. What do we got next? We got 500. Oh, so many. Not 500 Miranda. Oh, look at these. These are nice bulbs. These are same as those other ones. Just nice, healthy bulbs, nice and firm. Right? Like I look at this, I don't see many like yucky bulbs in here. I like that type of bulb. This is a pretty decadent. This is up there with the Gudishnik, and this is even bigger than the Sunlover. This is bright red, bright red, but the heads on these are massive. These, honestly, these might actually get even bigger than the Gudishnik.
I remember these last year and I was like stoked on them.
Yeah, like when they first come up, they're like, you're like, like, you know, because they come up and they're like buds, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, sure. And they get like really tall. But then they like keep developing and they keep developing and they keep developing. And it's like, is this gonna like ever bloom? Like what is going on with this? And then finally it starts to get color, and then it's like oh, okay, like that's a pretty big bud, and then it keeps developing and it keeps developing and it keeps developing. You know, and honestly, with all of these doubles, when you pick them instead of letting them bloom out in your garden, they don't get as big. If you leave all of these to bloom in your garden, the flowers will get like almost twice as big as when you pick them, right? Because you need to pick them to get vase life on them before they open. But it feels like when they bloom in the garden that they just keep drawing nutrients up, and they just bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know, and they last like twice as long. The doubles are great as like a home garden flower because they like, it feels like they just stay blooming in the garden for like an entire month. I mean, obviously not, but and we don't get rain here, right? So like we do have perfect weather for growing these big decadent doubles in our gardens here in the Okanagan. But yeah, Miranda, it blooms later than the Gudishnik also. This is like a really late blooming. So if my Gudishnik finishes off in my like Sunlover yellow pomponette bouquet, I can start replacing the Gudishnik with that big huge flower with the Mirandas, and they still are these big huge massive bouquets. So love this one. Next up, we have 500 Amazing Grace. And I can't remember if I grew this one last year or if this is one of my newer varieties, but this is part of the pink collection. This is like big, huge, double pink, and this is like a nice medium pink, and it looks like the flower heads are quite large. Last year we grew like everything. Right? So, and like I said, pink isn't the flower that I get the most excited about. So in our bulbs last year, there was a bunch of pinks that I couldn't differentiate from each other. So this, I don't know, like the name rings a bell. So I think I probably did grow it last year. But it wasn't like a showstopper that stood out. And honestly, I would say like Foxtrot also didn't stand out to me, but I was able to identify it because I planted Foxtrot beside her sister, and the Foxy Foxtrot had a unique look compared to my other things. I think I have a couple other pinks still. There's only a couple of varieties left, but I think I got a light pink. My goal was to get, and I think that some of the ones that got canceled on me, I think 2 of the varieties were pink varieties. So my goal was to kind of be like, okay, I want like 3,000 of the 9,000 to be like pink varieties. And the price was good on the Amazing Grace. All of the pinks are more expensive. It's the brightest, most decadent colors. The like, tropical fruit punch, which are my favorite. Sometimes they're some of the cheapest in the bulbs, which makes me laugh. I'm like, no one wants these good ones. But yeah, I am excited about the pink mix that I'm gonna have. Okay, this one I know for sure is new. This is 500 Allison Bradley, and I'm really, really excited about this. This is like dark, rich, pinky, burgundy tones with streaks of purple in it. And I think we actually had some of these on the farm last year. We had a few random things that had gotten mixed in, I think in our Queen of Night pack, we had like, there was like 50 of the 1,000 Queen of Nights were this like crazy double that grew really tall and had really big heads that had the same tones as this. So I suspect that we had a few of these, and this was like one of my favorite flowers that we grew. It was like a nice big tall tulip, and the colors on it were so dramatic. This is like the one that I'm gonna want to pair with that like black double, like ultimate drama, jewel tones. It's gonna be really fun. But at the same time, we can pair it. This could be part of the pink mix. This one was expensive. This was like one of our most expensive bulbs. But if it's what I think it is, it's definitely worth the money. 500 Angelique. And this is the one that I was thinking of. This is my light pink for my pink mix. And I think that, well, no, I don't think. I know that we grew this last year. But what happened last year is our spring was as hot as summer. We went from being like freezing cold to like, it's like 30 degrees Celsius out, which is very, very bad for tulips. And so all of my tulips just like were like, oh my God, I have to bloom, I'm dying.
We did a weird shake-off thing.
Yeah, like it was a really, really bad year for tulips. And because of the heat, it changed a lot of the colors. So Angelique, I think, ended up, when I picked it, looking like a white tulip. I was like, I don't know why there's so many white tulips this year. But then once, because you have to pick tulips like when they're like in bud form, you don't pick them when they're fully opened. But then once we like put it into a vase and allowed it to open, it opened into having these like really beautiful soft pink tones. So it like it's gonna be like the great one to have for my pink blend, because my idea is basically I want to have like the soft pink of Angelique with the medium pinks of Foxtrot and what was the other one, like Amazing Grace, and then also have like the dark dramatic pink of like the Allison Bradley to do the blend. Or if I wanted to do something very, very soft, very feminine, very almost bridal, I could do the Angelique with the Secret Perfume and the Mount Tacoma and have something that just kind of has like blush tones. So, you know, I'm really excited. Angelique is a little bit more expensive, but it's a very reasonable bulb. And it's very versatile. I can imagine in the future it being, even though it's like, you know, I mean, I disrespect pink by saying this, but it's kind of insipid when I am like looking at the garden and I'm seeing these massive Mirandas. I could see this joining the 1,000 bulb club because it's so versatile, and it's really desirable for customers. So I'm really excited. Okay, before we finish going on to the bits and pieces, I want to make a note about the fact that there is only doubles here, which is pretty common for small farms. But there's one thing that you'll be missing in my order that lots of other small farms will grow, and that's parrot tulips. So we grow $20 bouquets. Like we're competing with cheap grocery store bouquets. We're not trying to be like decadent specialty flowers. We're just trying to be convenient. Like, do you want flowers on your table every day of the season? We're the farm for you to come to. It looks special and unique. Yeah, so special and unique. But if you're someone who is like, I have a big budget for flowers and I'm gonna buy like the best flowers in the entire world, you know, obviously still come to us and just buy 2 bouquets instead of 1. But, you know, the doubles are really great for us. One of the things that we love about the doubles over a parrot or over a single is the vase life. Because there's so many petals inside the double tulips, they open and they open and they open and they open. So like a single, you know, you'll get kind of like 5 days on it. And the parrots are the same, right? Like they're not necessarily gonna have the week plus vase life that we like to have on the farm. Whereas with the doubles, you know, most of our doubles will kind of do like 7 days or some of them even longer, right? Like the Exotic Emperor, like it looks like it's done. It's completely open and it looks like it's done, and then it doesn't drop its petals. It's a very strange flower. But yeah, so one of the reasons that we love the doubles and we maybe haven't done some of the other things that you see lots of other people specializing in is these just do great for our customers. They do great for our price point. They have great vase life and they're simple for us to grow and they're affordable. You know, if we were to invest into parrots, they would cost twice as much as any of the bulbs that we have here. So, you know, I'm really happy and I'm really excited about, you know, what we've narrowed in on tulips.
The parrots would cost twice as much per bulb and they would sell after the biggest peony tulips that we sell, whatever the bouquet is that looks the biggest at the time.
Yeah.
The peonies are what people want.
Or
the doubles.
The peony tulips are what our specific customer wants.
I think that, you know, if you went home and you had a parrot tulip bouquet on your table, it would look great and you'd love it. And you'd be like, look at these crazy flowers. But when they're next to the larger sized, you know, beautiful colors of the doubles, it's just like people are drawn to those first. And so why take the risk on super expensive bulbs?
Yeah. You know, and someone else can do that, right? It makes sense to specialize. Last but not least, all of our other exciting stuff, like this. This is an anemone, full star white. And we grew this last year and they're really cool. They're a little short. I wish they were taller. But they're total double, like little poof balls. All my anemones sucked. I don't think I got a single cut off any of them. But I enjoyed looking at these. So I got 100 of these, hoping for better weather next year. And then white was sold out. We buy most of our Ranunculus and anemones from unicorn blooms at this point. I guess we never said this is our Van Noort order. So unicorn blooms we ordered before the Van Noort stuff, and unicorn blooms was sold out of white Ranunculus. So we got the Amandine white. We got 200 of them because the white Ranunculus is so classic. You know, we are hoping, we said all season this year that we wanted to do wholesale to florists, and it never happened. But next year, we're hoping to do wholesale to florists, and the white Ranunculus, you know, very, very desirable. So 200 of those. Oh, more anemones. Okay, then we got Full Star Pink. And I don't think we did this last year. I think this is new. Yeah, because last year we had Full Star Red, which we also bought. We bought all the Full Star colors. So I'm excited to see what the pink is gonna look like. You know, like I said with some of the tulips, the colors don't always look the same here in the Okanagan as they do in pictures. So, you know, it'll be fun to see exactly what tone the pink is. But the red was fun. The red was like a pinky red. So, because I don't really like red very much. But so I did actually like the tone of the red. We got 100 each in those, and then I'm assuming this is gonna be, oh no. This will be it. Full Star Blue, I ordered it. There we go, Full Star Blue. We got 100 of those too. And the blue was really fun. It was like a purpley blue, little puff ball. So fingers crossed, better year for anemones with the 400 of those. Yeah, because they were really fun. The flowers, you know, the flowers were nice. They weren't as big as like the big poppy style ones, but they were still like a really nice size. I used a bunch in little mini jar arrangements, but they should get a long enough stem to be able to use in bouquets. So it'll be a good year. And then I got the anemone caramel pastel mix. You know, and this is, oh yeah, look at those. Nice big fatty corms. These always remind me of like railroad spikes, the shape of them. This is, last year we ordered in a bunch of brights in the anemones. And we didn't get many cuts, but we got flowers, and they were just short, but they're really pretty. I really liked all the bright tones that we'd gotten from unicorn blooms, but I was left hoping for something that was in a little bit more of like a toned down palette, something in like those Easter egg tones, pastels and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for what this pastel mix can do for bumping up. I'm like, this is 600 anemones. I'm like, you know, unboxing that is coming in the future is going to be our unicorn bloom unboxing. But I'm like, how many anemones did I buy if there's 600 in this order? And then I would have ordered like all these blue and purple and bright colored ones. You know, maybe I've been getting a little bit too crazy about the anemones. I wouldn't be surprised if we have like 2,000.
Considering we didn't get to sell any.
Yeah, we sold 0. It was like a complete crop loss. So I'm like,
It was a great flower the year before.
I know. I'm like, should I have spent like $1,500 on anemones? Because they're not cheap. the anemones,
Are
right?
they like $1 each?
The most expensive thing here was the Ranunculus, which was $1 each. But, you know, the anemones are more expensive than our most expensive tulip. So.
Got to get something out of them
I
at
know.
that price.
Need to.
At least a single flush in a bad year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we got multiple flushes in the year before, and they were great.
Yeah.
Bouquets, but this year we were lucky if any of the plants gave us a single flower. At least if you get something out of them, you can like, you know,
I know.
justify it in the bad years, and then hope for good springs for them sometimes.
You know, my plan at this point is plant for hot weather and for cold weather every year, and then things will either be unseasonably cold and the cold weather stuff will do good, or it'll be unseasonably hot and the hot weather stuff will do good. And then, you know, at least half of it won't be complete crop loss. But yeah, I mean, I love the Ranunculus and the anemones, and they sell really well for really good prices. But they are expensive to invest into. So.
We'll have another year to figure them out a little better. What they
Yeah.
need.
I mean, I'm not committing yet to giving up on them, even if we have another complete crop
Yeah, no,
loss.
and I don't
year.
think we will, but we need to figure them out better. We need to be able to grow them a little better.
Okay, and then finally, the last thing, which is just for me. This is just for the garden. This is Muscari, Armenicum. I don't know.
Ameranic.
Something in
I can't say
Latin.
it
Something in Latin. And these are just classic grape hyacinth. And I think that this is just like the classic blue. But look at this. Look how big they are. Because these are normally like the size of marbles. These are nice. This is for us. Like I said, every year we end up buying some things that is for just planting around the farm. And every year things look just a little bit better. And for the last few years I'd been like, I want more grape hyacinths. And Ian keeps being like, no, stop buying those. Because I love crocuses and I love grape hyacinths and all these things. And he's like, no, you're not allowed. So these are for me. Well, I'm very excited about what 2024 is gonna look like. You know, these are some of my favorite moments of the year when I get in these big orders. You know, I put in these orders so long ago. Like some of this stuff we ordered in like March, April, and so I usually forget. So it is very much like Christmas for me to get to open up these orders and remind myself of all the things that I bought for myself. You know, obviously 9,000 tulip bulbs is a little bit of work, but I'm happy. I'm happy with all these orders. I'm happy with how restrained I was. I'm happy with everything that's shown up. So it'll be fun. Let me know down in the comments, what's the bulb that you're the most excited about?
These are the next flowers we're going to be selling fresh.
I know. That's a good point. Tulips are essential on our farm, but you know what might be essential to your business? A website. And our sponsor Squarespace can help you build one. Squarespace is the ultimate platform for creating your dream website. With flexible business templates, you can start with professional design that fits your category and customize it to match your unique style. Be it a professional blog, a portfolio, or a business website, Squarespace ensures your online presence stands out on every device. But it's not just about being seen. It's a great way to sell. Whether you're selling physical, digital, or service products, Squarespace provides you with the tools you need to launch your online store effortlessly. From inventory management to secure payment processing, Squarespace has got you covered. And if, like me, you also sell in person, Squarespace offers point-of-sale integration. Connect a Square Reader to the Squarespace app and sync your orders, inventory, and customer data with your online store, making it easy to carry your business anywhere. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/youcaneatthegrass to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.